prove to myself that you can overcome anything and you don't have to quit, because the body is the hardest thing to change, but it's the most easiest thing to change because you make the decision to do it. But because you have the decision to do it, we always choose plan B instead of plan A first, because plan B exists, which means I can wait till tomorrow. When I learned how to do that, that transferred into what life is. There is nothing I can't do, anything. One of my most favorite quotes that I say to myself and I tell my daughter, you have the ability to control the outcome of your situation. So whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. But you control and you choose whether you're going to do it or not.
Welcome to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. Today, we sit down with the hottest celebrity trainer in Hollywood. Best known for his work in transforming Michael B. Jordan for his lead role as Adonis Creed in Creed 3. Due to his bodybuilding physique, he was deemed as one of the 50 most fit men in the world, alongside Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps and Conor McGregor. He can also be seen flexing his transformation skills as a lead trainer on Revenge Body by Khloe Kardashian. Today, he shares his secrets about the techniques he uses to transform his clientele for movie-ready status, his bodybuilding background and what it takes to build an impressive physique, and the correlation between attitude and philosophies in training to help with real-world success. So please welcome Mr. Khloe Calliet to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. Mr. Khloe Kardashian.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, I was always wondering what it would be like on a Friday to sort of meet one of the 50th most fit men in the world, and how he spends his Fridays. And now I've been able to do that.
Yes. That's that title is so. When I got the title, I was like, wow. I didn't know they was gonna write that and put me next to those people. But I think I can say right now, right now is one of the best shapes I've been in my life outside of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding was like the high point. It's like the opium. But now being an athlete, not a bodybuilder, I feel like this is the best shape I've ever been in.
Right.
So I can say I'm probably one of the most fittest people in the world.
I was reading about you, and it sort of mentioned that you got into training because you were trying to get girls.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering now, when you had that title, how did that work out?
It didn't do too much. It was already happening. That was already happening. So I mean, when you hear something like that, that's like you think of like, oh wow, and if it's going to resonate with other people. But when I started training, it was definitely to get women. It wasn't because of the health and I want to be strong. No, it was like, I need you to look at me.
Yeah.
It's the vain part of it.
Yeah. So do you kind of like, I've seen your beautiful pictures and stuff around, which are quite motivating. Do you kind of have that badge on your mirror when you get up in the morning?
I write on my mirror, I'm him. So in the morning I wake up, I'm him. I know it. Just make sure you remind yourself. Before you leave, look in the mirror. I'm him.
Right. So you started off as if my research is correct, you started off as a mailman. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, I was a mailman for about 6 to 8 years, 8 years total. Delivered mail from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That job taught me a lot. It taught me about working every day, first of all, which was consistency, because you had to deliver that mail. A lot of sacrifices I had to make because the time at the age, it was no partying, it wasn't no going out. It was more I had to make sure that I'm taking care of my family, which I had a kid at the time and my ex-girlfriend, her mom at the time. It was making sure I took care of that. So it was a lot of sacrifices, and it was dedication, because I had to be dedicated to that job, because there were people that were dependent on me to get things that they needed to get. So it was good. But those rainy days, they say rain, hail, sleet, or snow, the mail must go. That is a real saying. It don't matter what the weather was. It could be a tornado. You better drop that mail off. They didn't play.
Right. And what caused you to then say, all right, I want to get involved in something totally different? What was that? Do you remember that moment that you were, okay, I'm gonna start that journey?
Actually, I was already into fitness, wanted to do it already. But I remember one day coming out of the mailroom, and I had my orange buggy. And of course, naturally, you see the stories of like Ronnie Coleman or Dexter Jackson on the magazine. It's like, I want to be Mr. Olympia one day. When I was coming out, I said, I want to look good and make money and change people's lives. That's how I want to make money. And it stuck with me. And I remember when I quit, and I said, I just couldn't do it no more. I said, this can't be it. At that time, my friends I was hanging out with was like 20 or 30 years older than me. So it was no relevancy when it comes to like my peers. They were my peers as work, but not as far as age range. And I said, there has to be more than life than just this. and I quit my job and I became a personal trainer. I started working at Max Fitness in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And from then on, it was like, I loved what I do because I think the thing about fitness is, as a trainer, and a lot of people that's influencers, they don't really know it now, is that back then when training, you had to sell yourself. So I had to make you believe that I can change your body, bring you through hell, and then come back, and you got to pay me for it. So in your right mind gonna pay me to go crazy on them. But it was amazing because it was my connectivity with people. I think that was the most important thing when it comes to any trainer, is being able to connect with a client. You can train anybody, but can you connect with them? Can you build off who they are, what they were going through to help them change their lives? So it's basically taking all their mess and turning it into a masterpiece. And that's what I started to do every single day.
So where were you in your own physical journey? Were you already doing bodybuilding before you came as a personal trainer then?
Mm-hmm. That's what influenced it. What I did in my body in 6 and 8 weeks, what I was trying to do in 6 years, I became addicted to it. I'm talking about addicted, because I changed my body it was like, what the hell? How this happen? And I saw what I could do to myself. I said I could do this to other people. So that's what really started me to just get into, like, I wanted to train people because I knew I could.
Right. Mm-hmm. Where did you get your knowledge and advice from? Because obviously you've got a certain amount of genetics, but that doesn't get you to win competitions all the time. Yeah. Where did you go to learn about building muscle, losing fat, getting to that shape? Did you have any mentors, or did you just sort of pick it up yourself from magazines and stuff?
It was magazines, a whole lot of magazines, a lot of articles, a lot of Googling, a lot of YouTube. And then I had my mentors, like one of my mentors that I don't talk about him enough, his name is Ken Hensley. Ken Hensley is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, one of the best physiques I ever saw in my life. He was so knowledgeable, very smart, Caribbean guy. And he was the one who told me you should be a bodybuilder. I remember being in that boxing one day, because he was a kickboxer. So we was boxing, and he looked at me, how my muscles flared up when I was actually training, and he said, you should be a bodybuilder. And I said, what? He said, you should be a bodybuilder. And I didn't think nothing of it. So I got ready for my first show, and I got a trainer, started dieting, and like I said, what I did in that short amount of time, I said, whoa. It was just changing my food, working out consistently. It became a drug to me. It became an addiction. And it also messed me up too, because it made me get body dysmorphia and all the other stuff that us bodybuilders and people with crazy bodies have, and I'm okay with that. And it changed everything for me. It really did.
What kind of training worked for you to put on size? Like what were some of the things that you were doing that were maybe not as was it just traditional lifting heavy weights and that was it, or was there anything special?
Oh, it was heavy weights. Right. I started working with this guy named Don Smith when I really got a bodybuilder. Older bodybuilder, was Mr. America and stuff like that. And our first set will warm up with 100-pound dumbbells for 20 reps. We do 6 sets, and it's building. We live, so this foundation that I have as far as a body, I built this foundation because of the hard training. It's the hard training, the food every single day. Eating so much food, lifting heavy weights. I went from squatting 135 to being able to squat 515, and you're hitting it for like 8, 9, 10 reps sometimes. And it's like, what are you doing? It's like, why are you going crazy? And yeah, it was really hard training. I'm talking about hard training, not that cute stuff. Stuff where when you leave the gym, you want to go to sleep.
So what would be an example of like, so how would you do your split in a week then? Would you do like one body part, 2 body parts?
Well, bodybuilding, because we're crafting, it's almost like when you're building a house, you do one room at a time.
Okay.
Just like that. I'm trying to complete one room at a time. So I start off with chest. We do chest and we kill chest. We always finish with abs.
So that's just chest on one day?
Yeah,
and
for like an hour and a half.
What were you doing set-wise then?
It'll be 6 sets of 20 reps.
6 sets of 20.
Yeah, and the weight, your range started at what you struggle with. So if I was struggling, if we started off at, let's say 50, we started off at 65, 75 pounds to warm up. The first 2 sets, cool. After that, everything is 95 and up to the end. And it's 20 reps. And it's like, you just going and going. Till 100 pounds became light, which made no sense to me. Is it light now? A little bit. I'm a little older now, but yeah, we did some crazy stuff.
Right. So you do your chest and then finish off with abs. And how long were you working out then, roughly?
2 hours.
2 hours to do 6 sets.
Oh no, we did a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay.
It was chest. We go from flat bench, incline, decline, flies, push-ups. Then we doing the small auxiliary type exercises just to like hit the detailing on certain parts. It was just a lot. It was ridiculous. Actually, we started with abs. So you would do 10 sets of 20 leg raises, and then you start your workout. And then you finish with 10 sets of leg raises of 20 at the end of the workout. It was ridiculous.
And how often in a week then? When would you go back to chest again?
So we'll go back to at least, we start with chest, we'll finish on chest on Saturday.
Right, okay.
Or Thursday.
Okay, yeah. So a couple of times a week per body part, right.
Yeah.
How did you recover from that? Like, that sounds really intense. How old were you when you were doing that?
I was like 28.
Okay.
26, 27.
Right.
So I had a little energy in me.
Right.
I didn't need to recover that much.
And what was legs like then? What were you doing? Because I've seen on your pictures you've got pretty good legs.
Yeah, I got this. I mean, we were old school, squatting, leg press, leg curl, leg extension, and then lunges until you couldn't walk no more.
Right.
I hated lunges at the end. It's like after all those legs, you're doing lunges for 60 yards with dumbbells in your hand. Then you're doing with no dumbbells in your hand. It's like, bruh, what time we done? But it's the mindset of not quitting, of keep going. Like I was telling you before, I knew if I was going to go through this amount of hard work and this amount of pain, something good was going to come out of it, and something did come out of it. The look for sure, but it was the mindset I was building. You know, it was the mental toughness and the mental strength I was building. Not only building a strong body, but I was building a strong mind. Like, it's hard for me to quit anything.
Introducing the next big thing in functional training, the Escape Barrow, a revolutionary training tool that combines a loaded farmer's carry with a sled push to develop hip, grip, and core strength. Developed in partnership with Pete Holman, inventor of the TRX Rip Trainer and Nautilus Glute Drive, the Escape Barrow can be rolled, pushed, dragged, and carried. The Escape Barrow packs a punch with an impressive load capacity of 440 pounds, and with a 2-stage galvanized paint covering process, it's also ideal for outdoor use. So head over to escapefitness.com/barrow. That's escapefitness.com/barrow to find out more. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
And so as a strategy like that does sound pretty intense. Was that something that you felt worked for your body? I know there's lots of different ideas that people have about building muscle, but was that something that you figured over time that specifically worked for you?
Yeah, I noticed that too. When I did everything else, I could just give you a glimpse of like the last 2 years. After I did men's fitness in 2020, I was like, you know what, I want to get smaller and I want to do cycling, I want to race. So I started doing crit racing, which is a sport with cycling. Crit racing, criterion racing for cyclists. Started doing that because it was fun. It was really fun to get on the bike and just go. Because I was a sponsored athlete for Trek. And I was trying to get lean by doing the running, the endurance stuff and all that. It didn't do nothing. When I picked weights back up recently, consistently, in October, November last year, my body started to change like this. And my body said, oh, this is what you like. And the lean I was trying to get, I actually got it. And it was like, it just continued to get better and better and better. So I'm sticking to weights for the rest of my life. I'm gonna do everything else, but I'm sticking to weights more.
Do you kind of get any concerns about like injuries as you get older, like particularly lifting super heavy weight? I know I've spoke to people that have been on the other end of the age spectrum and have sort of thought, okay, maybe I wouldn't have gone as crazy. Like Dorian Yates is a good one I interviewed, and he was, he did a lot of damage through some of that super heavy training. Like, how do you feel about that? And particularly if you're training clients that want to get that shape but are probably, late 30s going into 40s, for example.
So I don't do heavy weights anymore. Don't do that. I will stick to a weight that's comfortable, and I do a lot of rest. And I actually focus on more contracting the muscle. I actually focus on more detailing when I'm doing my reps. I don't have to go pick up 80 to 100 pounds. I'm not trying to show off. I don't need to be the strongest person. I need to look like I'm the strongest person, but I don't need to be the strongest person. I have no ego. I'm okay.
Right.
You know. So, and also I understand now, I do also do functional, I do more athletic training as well too, so I mix that in. And recovery is important now. So, you know, it's me doing, you know, if I'm going through like steam rooms or infrared saunas, just getting body work done on me, you know, doing yoga, doing things like that. Just stuff to help continue to make this body that I want be not only look good, but actually be functional and be able to be mobile so I can, you know, have a happy life and not just a life where I'm just walking around like this. That's not cute. That's not attractive at all.
So you're in good shape now. So what would be a typical workout week for you then, if by body part, say Monday to Friday? How many days in a week are you working out, and how are you splitting your body parts?
Right now I do like push and pull on Monday, then I'll do shoulders and arms, and then I do another back exercise by itself. Then I'll do legs, and then I will do 2 days of like athletic training. But in between those days, I'm boxing 3 days a week. And then there's, if I want to run or something like that, I'll do that. Right. So it's a
so you're doing something every day?
6 days a week.
Right.
I try, sometimes 7. It's probably every day, honestly. I ain't gonna lie, I work out every day. Even if it's just walking or it's just getting on the bike for a little bit, I gotta do something every day, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah. And then how long are you training now then, roughly?
Hour and a half to 2 hours. Hour and a half at the most.
Okay. And then for, let's say for chest, like how many sets would you be doing for your chest, and sets and reps?
So I do circuit training with it. So I would do 3 different exercises, and I would do about 3 sets of it, and I would do 20 reps each.
Right.
So it's circuit training for those 3 to move to another 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the tempo, so let's say you're doing chest press, like what would be the speed? Because I watch some of your stuff on Instagram, and there's a lot of dynamic, explosive stuff. But if you're going to sort of build chest for muscle, like what would be the speed and
slow and control?
Right.
Slow and control. Going at a medium tempo, as far as when they get, as long as I'm contracting the muscle, I'm big on contracting the muscle. So slow and control is most important when you're building something. I'm creating the muscle. I'm not just building, I'm creating. So when you create something, you're taking your time, you're trying to detail it. So you're making sure that you hit it the right way. Your form is perfect so that you're able to create it to look the way you need it to look.
What about training tools? Do you believe in traditional weights? Are you using bands? Are you combining weights and bands together?
I do it all at one time. Yeah. I like to play with it. The body adjusts too quick. So I like to play with it, you know, just throw something in there every now and then, you know, that's different. But as long as it's working towards the same exercise and muscle group, then we're good.
So in terms of, like, you train Adonis Creed, was that one of your sort of proud clients, would you say?
Yeah, that was my first celebrity client, yeah.
And I heard tell us, the story is pretty interesting, certainly the one that's online, so, because there's a little bit of an accident kind of in how it comes together, so would you mind sharing how that came to be?
So I got a call from this guy named Aaron Williamson to train the cast of Fantastic Four. We met, he came to my house. We went to Warner Brothers studio in Baton Rouge. First time I've ever been on a Marvel studio. And I was like, wow, I'm actually about to train people on the movie. See all the people on the set. I was, then maybe like 4 weeks later, I still hadn't trained nobody. I would go up there every day, nobody would want to train. So one day, Jamie Bell calls me and he says, they wanted him to come get ready for some arm scene or something like that. And the funny thing is, after a couple of years of being a celebrity trainer, and then an actor called and said they want to work on arms, if that was me then, I said, he fine. You know, the person I am now, I said, don't call me for that. Call me when you want to work out for real. And I went up there to see Jamie, and he wasn't ready. So I was just walking around, and I'm leaving. When I was leaving, Michael was coming out. And they said, well, Michael might want to train with you because he got to get ready for Creed. So we met, we had one workout, and from that day we clicked. I mean, that day it was like my life changed. And we finished doing Fantastic Four, and then he reached back out to me, and we wrapped in April, he reached back out to me in August, said, I want you to come to LA because I got to get ready for Creed. And that was it. My life changed completely.
Really?
Yes.
How did it change?
I moved to LA. That's one. I moved to LA, worked on Creed. After his transformation, they saw that I got on Revenge Body. Revenge Body really changed my life because it was a bigger, more people being on the Kardashian show. And then I was transforming everyday people, not just celebrities. And it went crazy. To just see now the amount of people that know me all over the world from my skill set.
Those opportunities, I guess, don't come around every day. What do you think in terms of preparing yourself for that? Like, I've got kids, and I talk to them about, being ready for opportunities and how, opportunity and preparedness coming together. Like, how, looking back on that and thinking about where you're taking your career going forward, how would you describe that situation to someone who's probably, coming up in the game and wants to sort of move their career forward? Was there any sort of key lessons that you took from that?
It was always being prepared. See, the thing about going down the road, people have a tendency to stop and go back because they feel like they're not going nowhere. But if you're going down the road, there's things that you learn while going down this road. You're being prepared for something that you don't even know exists yet, but it's there. You have to just be consistent. It's almost like having blind faith. Having blind faith in what can come, but first of all, having blind faith in self. I always had faith in self that I could do whatever I need to do, but I knew I was gonna be something. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was gonna be something. But I just know the work that I was doing. If you think of like me being a mailman, me trying to figure out what fitness is and doing all that for these years and becoming a bodybuilder, I was learning so many different, I was gaining so many tools from the discipline, the sacrifice, the consistency, the work ethic. I was building all these things that I was gonna need when I got to that point. Didn't know that point existed yet, but I was ready. It's like having a toolbox. As long as you got it in your trunk, no matter where you're going, some shit happen, you got something to fix it.
I like that.
You got your tools ready for you. So it's not knowing what's gonna happen in life, but it's being prepared for anything that may happen in life. And that's what I was able to take to put in that, because if I didn't go through those things and experience those obstacles and setbacks and some of those small wins, then when I got this job, it would have just been a job. It wouldn't have been a career. And I turned it into not only a career, but I turned it into my life.
So how do you apply that now? Like, you're at a different stage, but my guess is you're still ambitious and you want to do other things. I like the story about blind faith, because I think a lot of times, I've certainly done it, is you put yourself out and you think, I don't know where I'm going. I just know I need to keep doing this. And most people just think that they're out in the wilderness and they stop. And then you can see that the ones that continue, eventually something happens and they're just one of the few people that are left in the right place. So how do you look at your career now, and what are you doing to sort of, where's that blind faith? How are you applying that blind faith at the moment then?
I'm never satisfied. I'm always happy, but never satisfied. I don't get complacent. If I think that I did one thing, then I could do it better. I'm always shooting for the stars, honestly, like always. And doing different things now, like now I'm acting now, and I'm acting I'm going to it fast, and it's actually happening. So it's the drive and the work that come from fitness and what I build that I'm putting over here. And understanding that doing this over here continues to drive the fitness. So I'm always reinventing myself. And also, I look at my body. My body is always a working piece of art, I like to call it. So I'm always working at that to get prepared for the next thing, because if I'm physically feeling good, my mental, I know, is clear, and then my spirit and emotion just feeds off that to be able to give what I need to give to myself and also to the world. So I'm always just like, I'm continuing to work on self, having that faith in me that if Calliet can, if anybody can, Calliet can. That is something I've said that before. One day I was walking and I was like, man, I have so much to do today. And I said, if anybody can, Calliet can. I said it 5 times. And instantly I'm going to do it, because I can't give up on myself. So now is at the part of you can't get complacent, you can't get comfortable, because you've built this humongous business, you built the brand, you built the name. The world depends on you. People depend on you. There's people that take care of me. I have to make sure I take care of them. So now the stakes are even higher. See, I was trying to get to this place now. Becoming successful is easy. Staying successful is not. You feel what I'm saying? And that's my goal now. I have to stay successful. So when I do have those peaks and valleys, and I have those ups and downs, I have to realize it's just a moment. And something I like to say is I can't let a momentum stop my drive. It's just a moment. I can't let the moment stop my momentum. I can't let that stop. So I just stay on it every day. And sometimes I lose my mind. I have to just stop, because I'm an extremist. I go from 0 to 100 real quick, like the rap song.
What does success mean to you now then?
Man, that has changed. And it changes so much. Success to me used to be money, cars, clothes. That's another word. I'm not gonna say that. I grew up listening to a certain rap group, but success means so many things. Success is not about me anymore. Success is about the people around me. Success is about making sure the people that take care of me, that I'm taking care of them. Success is also about being able to be comfortable and be able to be stable enough to give back. Success to me, the ultimate success for me is a family. And I'm building this life and trying to build a legacy to have a family, to have people that love me for me, appreciate me, and people that I can work for, people that I can support, people that I can really take care of. So success is not about me no more. I'm doing the things to be successful, but my success, the story of my success is gonna be the people that I'm able to help change their lives. You know, building my family, building my tribe. That's what success is for me. You know, having a wife, you know, more kids, building my community. That's what success is. It's not me no more.
You mentioned before we started your picture and how when you're going through maybe more difficult times, you look at that for inspiration. How how often do you have difficult times in what you do? Is it and how do you get out of that mindset to not let it affect you?
So I used to run from my problem. Actually, recently I did that. Say last year around November, December. Yeah, it's October to like November. I was running away from things by working out a lot. Jesus Christ, it'd be 4 or 5 times a day. But my body wasn't changing. I said, this don't make no sense. I'm eating, I'm training, I'm doing the recovery, nothing is changing. It's because I was filling the void. I was running away from things I needed to take care of internally. And I realized you got a strong mental, Corey, what are you doing? Because you're not taking the time to deal with it. So a couple of times a night, a picture came here, and when I got that picture, I sat down on the sofa, and I looked at it, and I've stared at it. I've stopped doing everything I stared at, and I look at, this is who you are. You have to see yourself as I don't want to say God, that's too crazy, a king. You have to see yourself as power. Power is strong. I never saw power be weak. We had to use it for good or bad. I never saw power be weak. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at, first of all, the way people see me. So in my profession right now, I do this for me, but like I told you, success is for everyone else. So if these people see me as that, that's who I am. So when I look at that photo, I see strength. I see power. I see a vulnerability as well to be able to work within self, to deal with things, which takes a certain amount of strength to be what I need to be. I see pride, but pride in a good way. Pride in, I'm not gonna fail myself, because if I fail myself, I'm failing others. But also when I look at it, it's just like, there's something called Ducalan. So back in
what it's called?
It's called Ducalan.
Right.
So back in doing like, what's the time period doing like Greek, like this Zeus and all those people, nobody knew what they looked like at all. So what the Greeks would do, they would build these statues of the most perfect piece of art, a perfect, statue that's close to God, because God he's perfect. There's no imperfections. He's perfect. So they would build something that looks almost perfect. They call that Ducalan. So that's the closest thing you can get to a godly, like a picture, anything it may be. And they did that because that's how they saw what that was. So when I see that, I have to remember that's how you see yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you can see yourself like that, and you can portray that, other people will see that as well. And that's what I would do to myself. I would just sit there and just look. And I swear, I really think that picture started to change something in me to make me want to do more and look like I need to look, because I'm big on how I look. I'm not even, like, that is a big thing for me. If I don't look good, I feel horrible. It's like, it's just my confidence, my swag off a little bit. And people can see it. And that's what that was able to do for me. I was able to see myself. And I remember just sitting in this chair over here on time and just like staring at it like that. And I was like, I literally was in my head, like, why aren't you here? This is your standard. Be there. And that's where my mind goes at. It's the way I've registered, the way things register in my mind. I do it for myself, mm-hmm. But it's kind of crazy and deranged, but it's also creative and amazing at the same time.
Do you think that
that opposing that, looking at the picture, you have something else that's creating another image that you probably is not serving you in some way, whether it's a conversation or whatever, that you looking at this is turning you away from whatever's sort of, holding you back in some way, that you're having another conversation in your head.
I think looking at that helps me deal with the things that's not good. Mm-hmm. So when we're not confident, when we don't feel strong, we avoid the things that we need to deal with. Being able to look at pictures, being able to see things where you're in your most confident phase, your most confident place in your life, it can help you deal with and attack anything that's going on in your life. When you don't feel confident and strong, you're like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to look at it. Yeah. It's almost like going in the bathroom and you know you don't look good, you don't want to turn the light on and look in the mirror. When you feel really good, you turn the light on, you look in the mirror and you walk close and you kind of look at yourself like, I see you. So at my best, I'm able to deal and take on everything. At my worst, I'm trying to avoid and run away from everything.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a really interesting way of looking at things, and I totally understand that. It's like if you don't feel particularly well, if you've had we talked about earlier, you wake up and you have a bad night, and you sort of push those things away until you wake up and you do feel good, because it's easier. And so I get, when you look at that then, as opposed to looking at it from a physical perspective, are you also looking at what that picture stands for? Like the deeper element of what's going on behind the image?
Right. Art is in the eye of the beholder. Everybody has a different interpretation of what a circle may be sitting on what it may be to them. It all depends on where their mindset is. I tell people, just like in relationships, you have two people that can say, I love you in the worst times. That I love you may not come out, I love you. But let them say those exact same words when their mind is right and the communication is there and everything is fine. Not only do they love each other, but they greet each other a different way. They hold each other, they caress each other, they show affection, they show you, I love you. It's the same words, but it's a different mindset. So it depends on where you are when you're looking at that. And every time I see that, I choose to see strength and not weakness. I choose to see no flawedness. I see perfection, and it helps me. I get going off that.
Mm. So you're known for transforming people's bodies, from celebrities to the average person with your with the TV series that you did, the Revenge Body. How do you use your personal experience of mindset and imagining this perfect person with a lot of the clients that you're trying to motivate to make difficult changes?
I use them. I was told one time, they said, Corey, you're very relatable. They said they could put you in a room with a preacher, a preacher, a pimp, a prosecutor, and a prostitute. And you will understand everybody what's going on. And it's because of my upbringing in my life. I grew up in a very tough area. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I grew up at a time where I experienced poverty, I experienced crime, I experienced seeing things I shouldn't see at a certain age. I grew up in a bad area, but it was a choice I had to make to understand it and not become of it. And when I did become of it for a while, I was able to quit and stop. But I try to understand people the way they are. My first conversation when we having a conversation with you when I'm trying to train you is not about your goals and what you want to look like. It's how you doing. What you did last night? You got a boyfriend, a girlfriend? What's going on in your life? Where you work at? Tell me about you, what you did for the holidays. I need to know you. Because before I can change your body anyway, I need to know this person. I need to know who you are and what's gonna happen. And I'm able to get these people to get to the most vulnerable place they possibly can and release their vulnerability to me so they can trust me. And when they trust me, I can change them. And that's how I'm able to change people, because, like I say, the connectivity. You got to make a person trust you to believe in you to be able to change them. That's anything.
Is it very similar, like your Creed role? Was that very similar to some of the regular people that you're working at? Are those mindsets consistent?
Everybody the same.
All right.
Celebrity and non-celebrity, you the same, because you're gonna get the same work. You get the same hard ass work, regardless. So you can be a celebrity, you can be a garbage man. Y'all gonna think the same way and do the same work. That doesn't matter at all.
How's when you did that first role? What did you learn from that when you took that on? Because I guess there must have been a certain personal expectation in, okay, I want to be successful at this, and I suppose it's not every day you get to train a movie star either. Did you learn anything from that experience and that you applied as you went on through your career? No.
I was already doing it. I was doing it at a bigger level, to be honest with you. I learned more business, the business aspect of it, yeah, because it was bigger. But when it comes to training and stuff, nah. My everyday mom and pop people and athletes and stuff, they put in work harder than some celebrities that I've trained. So it's nothing to learn. It was business. Learning the business side of it, how I can take this opportunity, capitalize off it, and make it into just a big old brand. So that was the thing. But as far as the training aspect, nah, zero.
What about the personal side? Like, is there challenges dealing with personalities? Like, or do you have to instantly try and get that respect with each other so they know who you are? Like, is there any kind of diva? And I'm not saying there was in this particular situation, but do you have to sometimes to deal with certain characters that are a bit more challenging?
It's respect before you come through the door. You can see a man you need to respect when you first meet him. You can see it from the jump. I don't care who you are. When you come train in that garage or wherever I go at, you know why you got me. You know who I am. And it's the trust. You're literally my client, then you become like family to me. And I'm from the South, so I'm very welcoming and open, like, come on in, and you trust me. All my clients trust me. The most vulnerable. I've heard so many things and they open up to me to talk to them because I'm here to listen as well. I'm here to help you. I'm a therapist, psychiatrist, all these different things that I can help you with while we're trying to get you to the next level. So it's never been nobody that I never had a diva, I don't think. I had somebody try to challenge me before? No? Because I work all of them.
Well, you're quite an imposing character as well, so I guess, you're able to put people in the place if you need to. You got a big smile and then you can also turn on the...
I can click it and just go from there to smile. It's easy. Yeah, so I don't have that issue.
Have you ever any clients where they want a transformation, but you don't think that they're either going to get what they want or they've not got their heads in the right place for you to do what you need to do?
Yeah, of course.
And how do you handle those situations?
Either you're going to quit or you're going to do what I say. I can't babysit you. I'm not at the toddler phase. I'm not trying to teach you how to walk or how to run. When you come here, that means you know how to jog a little bit. I can take you from there. But making them understand how bad you want this. That's conversations I had with Mike. I said, you know what we got to do? We got to do it. You're going to have billions of eyes on you. So we got to do it right. When I have clients that has to do anything, you're here for a reason. We're not here to babysit. We're not here to... it's expensive, first of all, to train with me. So I make you understand this is an investment. Take your money serious and take yourself serious, because if you're not going to take yourself serious, you're going to waste my time. My time is time. I'm never going to get this back. I need this time. But I want to invest this time in you. So let's do it. Let's do a favor for each other and take each other serious. And if we can't, then I got to let you go. But I've never had a client that left me before. Not one.
Right.
They always stay.
A lot of the movie transformations generally seem to have to require in a very short time frame. Like, are there sort of either compromises or things that you have to do in order to make that happen? Like, everybody wants to get us, beach body in 30 days, but realistically, these things take time.
That ain't happening.
So how do you work with someone that's they've got to do something for a role and you just haven't got the time it needs to get them there? How do you deal with that?
I go to the studio and say I need more time.
Right.
So if we have a movie, I need at least, give me 8 weeks before we start, depending on where they are. And then I get to know what days and what scenes we have to do it on, so I know what I have to do in the meantime. Like, I have to be scheduled out. Like, they bring me in, I say, okay, what dates we have a shirt off? So I go in there with the director and the DP, and like, they telling me what we have to do, so I know what has to happen. But I'm telling you, I'm not a miracle. I'm not a magician. I'm not a magician. Y'all magicians with that CGI, not me. And I don't want that on my body neither.
Is there any times, and I don't want to compromise you or your clients, but you hear a lot about steroids being taken to get people in the role. Like, how do you deal with that? Do people ask you your advice, and do you get involved in that, or is it something you just sort of say, well, okay, you're gonna have to figure that out yourself? How does that work?
You just said it. I'm not doing that. You're not about to taint my work and have me out here talking about you took stuff, and no, you ain't. That ain't happening. No, buddy. We're gonna work. We're gonna work hard. People think that taking enhancements is a magic pill, a magic shot. They're not gonna have to work hard. That stuff not gonna work if you don't work. So just do the work. Don't worry about that. But I'm not doing that.
When you have your first session, so once you got to know people, what is the sort of first sort of session look like once you've asked them the questions you got to know about them in general?
I see how fast I can break them.
Break them?
I got to see the threshold. I got to see how fast I can break them. Literally, I said, let's work out for 30 minutes. Let's see what you can do. I need to see your form. Need to see, what kind of condition you're in. I need to see these different things about you so I can know what to do. And if you can get past the first one, you can go. We're gonna have a great time. If you can't really do the first one, I'm like, ugh, might have to give you somebody else. Cause I'm so past the holding your hand phase. I can't do it. But I have programs and people that can do that. And then they get you and me, and then we're gonna turn up and have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
What are some of the breakable movements you do? Is it kind of cardio-based or strength-based?
Both. Cardio and strength, yeah.
What are some of the things what are your favorite sort of like torture tools there?
Burpees.
Burpees.
I hate burpees. Burpees. Burpees.
And what would you say? Like just as many as you can do, or do you give them?
I would put them in between exercises.
Okay.
So you do like a flat chest press, some pull-ups, 10 burpees. Then you get up and you sprint. You do like run on the treadmill on the incline. You do some abs, and then you do like 8 burpees. So I break it all the way down. That sounds crazy in my head thinking about it. Like I want to stop doing it. I ain't even started doing it yet. I'm just saying it. That's how. Yeah. But it gets to be fun. When I was doing CrossFit for a while, I started to like burpees. And then the day I stopped, I hated them. One day. So I'm like, you gotta do it every day.
So who's impressed you when you've tried to break them then, and you've thought, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. Have you had any clients that have?
Jonathan Majors.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a machine.
Really?
Yeah. The first day I saw him, I was like, I said, oh, I know what to do with you. And he has if I told him, run 2 miles, come back, and then crawl the 2 miles, he gonna do it. The boy got a machine. You wonder why he's such a good actor and so disciplined. He's that. He is that. Yeah, and then when I first started off with Mike as well, because Mike is an athlete. He can play incredible basketball. He was the same way. It was like, our first workouts was crazy. It was like, get in the pool, get out the pool, squatting, then go and lift weight. I was throwing it at him, just throwing. And yeah, it was crazy.
Is there any correlation in some of the people that are successful and how they approach working with you from a physical side? Is that like real world success and physical? Can you kind of see any correlations between the two at all?
What you mean by that?
Well, so let's say the client, the guy you spoke about, whatever you threw at him, he took it on. He wasn't fazed. The mindset of physical, and then seeing how they perform in their acting roles.
You can tell why they're successful and great at what they do, because if you can sustain a certain amount of pain and do it continuously every day to be what you need to be, and you take that same thing and put it into your craft, that's why you're successful. That's why I can say why I'm successful. Because I can do it all, and I'm just gonna take all of that and put it over here. Actually, when I transformed my body in 2008, my life changed because of transforming my body. I took the same blueprint of changing my body with the tools that I needed, and I brought it into a career, and I was able to go. I proved to myself that you can overcome anything, and you don't have to quit, because the body is the hardest thing to change, but it's the most easiest thing to change because you make the decision to do it. But because you have the decision to do it, we always choose plan B instead of plan A first, because plan B exists, which means I can wait till tomorrow. And I learned how to do that. That transferred into what life is. There is nothing I can't do. Anything. One of my most favorite quotes that I say to myself and I tell my daughter, you have the ability to control the outcome of your situation. So whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. But you control and you choose whether you're going to do it or not.
And do you see those kind of characters have like discipline as well, where they don't actually always need you? Like once you tell them to do it, that's like they're going to be there whether you turn up or not. Do you find that they're very disciplined once they've kind of committed to an idea, as opposed to having to have that motivation?
Yes and no. You become their safe place. So there's moments when Mike will be, like years into our training, he would look for me. I would see him looking for me. It's almost like when a kid would look for their mom or dad at a game. I see him looking around, and he knew once I said like this, you good? He could turn it up because he knew I wasn't there to feed his ego. I was there to tell him, you need to tighten that shit up. It don't look right. And you would see it between us because it's a bond we built. And literally, no matter what it is we're going through, you can see it. And I come over there and just tap him on the shoulder like, small words. And he go do it. And it's having that person that really believe in you and trust you, that security blanket, and say, I could do it.
Do you think some of that's like where you hold him to a standard that maybe you believe in for him that maybe the other person doesn't quite, like you're looking at the picture, you're trying to do that to yourself in some ways. Do you think there's some of that there, like psychologically you're believing that they can do more than they can do themselves?
Yeah, I do that. So I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. As long as you trust me, then you're gonna be okay. Always trust my word. Trust my word that if I tell you you can, because I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lead you on, not this. I'm not gonna blow your head up because you're an actor. That shit don't do nothing for me. You're gonna go out there and do it. And we're gonna do it right. And that's what it became that. It built off that. Jonathan, the one I had, he had a photo shoot. Not too many people could tell Jonathan anything. He might not listen. I went in there, and if I say move left, move right, turn your head this way, all right, Cole, I got it. Because he trusts me. It's the bond we built. It's the security he have. And it's that security blanket. And they know that, what, Cole not gonna lie to me. He gonna tell me the truth. I'm not. I will not egg you on. It don't benefit me anyway. It benefits me if you do it right. I tell the people, I did this and I buy that program.
Do you notice on that level that people of that success, when I suppose when movie stars are, you generally say they're very successful people, but do you find also they have vulnerabilities as well, that fitness and health and recovery play a part in balancing? Because you obviously see some of these people, they can be extremes, they're very successful and they go off the rails and they kind of get involved in all kinds of stuff because there's a lot of temptations there.
They tend to be, most of my guys have been very successful, been very disciplined. They don't really go into doing the crazy stuff. I had one rapper, I trained more than one rapper. My first rapper was A$AP Rocky, who's Rihanna's kid's father. And me and him was pretty close. And their lifestyle was different from an actor. But he built a relationship with me where he trusted me. And I could go into the studio and be like, get all this stuff out of here. Change this. And it was just, trying to teach them discipline. But most of the guys, they don't really party and go crazy. I know who to take on and who not to take on. I'm not into that, I can't do the crazy lifestyle stuff. My football players, like I trained Juju Smith-Schuster, he wasn't like other football players. Juju's a big kid. And he a worker. That's a worker. Juju would do anything I said, and then it showed on the field, because the next year, the year after he got hurt and he went back to the Steelers, he was burying people. It was amazing to see.
But don't you think sometimes those people, like look at Mike Tyson as a good example, sort of everyone knows his story, but he had a great trainer, and that person was this sort of rock, which sounds like you are for certain people. But sometimes when that's not there, that control, that discipline goes, and they go into free fall, until they have that person there. So do you, I guess, in some cases, having the right type of person next to you can keep the rails on people that have a huge amount of talent, don't you think?
That's almost like having the right woman in your life. It'll take
but
you
that's probably more important.
Right, it could take you to the next level. I do believe there's people in your life that can keep you accountable and take you to the next level. Just like the saying say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with someone else. So having someone that can protect you, can actually call you out on your shit and make sure that you're doing what you got to do, is so important when it comes to continue to be successful, to be the best person that you are. You need to have that. So I definitely believe that's a big part. And I played that part in a lot of people's lives.
How do you think about in your own life now, as you've become, you're probably very different to a lot of the friends that you hung out in back home. You've probably got a very different lifestyle, my guess. But I also suppose that there's probably some good people and there's also some people that can probably very easily take advantage of things and situations and deals. How do you make sure, to use your metaphor, you don't sort of get too many of the bad women around you? I'm not just saying that means, you know, male business partners and stuff. How do you sort of, you know, make sure that you're, you know, building your close community in the right way?
I have discernment on knowing who's around me for me and who's around trying to take from me, because I have a saying that says, you can only take from me what I give you. That's it. You can't take from me what I didn't give you. So if I gave it to you, it's because I wanted you to have it. And I can feel people out. I can understand people. I can see people from a mile away. I can see them, because the thing is, I'm open enough to let you in fast, but I kick you out faster. I'm like, come on in. You know, I'm like one of them old Southern people. Like, come on, you need something to eat, you need some food, you need some clothes on your back, come on inside, I'll take care, I'll make sure you're all right. But as soon as I see a hint of something different, you out. And I make sure you know you out. You don't go out smoothly. It's where you came in.
Was there a big difference between Louisiana and, like, I've never been to Louisiana and I've only been to Los Angeles for a relatively short space of time. You know, was there a big difference, and how did you was there any shocks in that? You know?
Yeah, LA is a different world. The South is so slow. It's slow. Here it was like everything was like, what the hell? But it was great. I remember the first time flying into LA, and I looked down and I saw like, damn, I'm in Los Angeles. Because you only see it on TV where I'm from. You never think you're gonna be here. And now it's like you're here all the time. So it's a culture shock, big time.
Yeah. Do you feel as though you fit in with this kind of lifestyle?
I do. Yeah, of course. I definitely made it my lifestyle.
Yeah. I know for me, I always used to watch a lot of the, I was back in England, watch a lot of the American movies and stuff, and always dreamed for me it was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Muscle Beach kind of lifestyle. And
Yep. First thing I did out here. I had to.
Yeah. So what's your most sort of proud or impressive transformation that you've made, would you say?
Michael B. Jordan was my first. Jonathan Majors was my second. It wasn't so much transforming Jonathan, because he already had abs, he had a body, but it was the next level I was able to take him to. Transformation from nothing to something was Mike, because I got him at nothing, and then we just got better and better and better. So I had to say he was one of my most impressive. But also on the TV show, I did have people lose crazy amount of weight in like 12 weeks. I'm talking about, I had a guy who went from like 265 to 225. He went from a big keg of a stomach, my first season on Revenge by Dexter, to having abs. That was pretty great too. So, you know, man, I've been doing this for a minute. I think everybody was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Mike was the first. To be so big, he was like, and I was able to like be like, dang, looking like, wow, that's a big difference.
So from a diet perspective, obviously that's a big part of getting the weight down. Like, are there any sort of food basics that you go to in most cases to say, okay, like, here's where I'm going to start diet-wise. Here's what I'm going to put in, and here's what I'm going to take out.
That's exactly what I do. I start at a balanced diet between carbohydrates, fats, and protein. As the body changes, I'm able to add and take away, because I'm looking to see what I need to add to it, what I need to take away from it, and making my adjustments as I go. So it's literally, maybe I take out the carbohydrates, build the fats back up, pull the fats back, more carbs, up the protein, change the type of protein from maybe more of a leaner protein like a fish, or I go to more of like a dense, more protein like steak or something like that. It all depends on how the body reacts and what you're looking like. It's very artsy what I do when it comes to the body.
Right. And what with things like protein, like, do you have any? Are there any sort of, I suppose, rules of thumb, as I call it, that you find, in most cases this works across? Like, I know they say you should eat a certain amount of protein and should prioritize protein. Are there any things like that you've found are fairly consistent across everything?
Yeah, you should. Every a gram of protein per body weight, and I've always stuck to that. And if I'm trying to lose, I'm just gonna back the protein down a little bit. If I'm trying to gain, up it just a little bit. So I've always kind of stuck in that range. That's really it. I'm really simple when it comes to nutrition. I'm not like everybody else. These different. I can't do all that. I don't want to try it.
What kind of proteins do you recommend?
Chicken, fish,
Right.
steak, lean ground turkey, eggs. Yeah, the basic stuff.
What about protein supplements?
Yeah, I use my protein. I like ISO 100. I love it. This is the best tasting protein to me. I love that. I use BCAAs. I use Extend BCAAs. I love that. Yeah, that's my go-to for supplements. Of course, I take my natural, vitamins and minerals and things like that. But supplements that I need, as far as when I'm training and working out or eating, just as a meal replacement, that's my favorite protein.
And what about the carb side of things? Like, what do you have any recommendations, for carbs that people should or could that tend to work well?
Carbs are your friend, first of all. People run away from carbohydrates like it's a scary movie. Carbs.
Well, they've got a bad rap recently, haven't they? They're kind of out of fashion, I suppose, with all this sort of keto and.
Yeah, keto. Now keto is different. That's why it'll throw you out of keto. But I stick to jasmine rice because it's more of a faster digesting rice. It also helps to spike your insulin to help to, get more blood into the muscle. Slow digestive carbohydrate. It's like a sweet potato or brown rice. That's kind of like my three favorites right there. That's what I stick to.
Right. And what about fats? What's your view on fats?
I like good fats. Good fats are really good for you. Now I'm doing more like, of course I did the olive oil and I'm doing, but I started doing, I forgot the name of it. I can't think of the name right now, but what I cook my food in. Because I got to make sure.
Like an air fryer, is it?
I use an air fryer, okay. But I usually rub this certain oil, not tallow oil. It's God dang it, I forgot the name of it. But I use it a lot now. But it's made from I tried to do the animal-based diet where you eat a lot of meat, which it was amazing, but I didn't have a lot of energy from it. Because you got to eat some really steak. I'm talking about really lean steak that tastes amazing. Pretty expensive, so you got to have some money to do that diet. But it's certain type of fats that I was using. But good avocados, taking your omega-3, CLA, eating, getting your eggs in. A lot of those things, a lot of fats from that really helps really well. Mm.
Organs seem to be a thing at the moment. Like, what are your views on organs?
Liver. I like liver. If you have liver problems, eat liver. Give your body what it's missing. I haven't ate heart. I have not eaten heart. I don't drink blood. Not doing the whole vampire thing. Haven't done that yet. I kind of stayed away from it. But yeah, liver is something I'm actually want to add liver to my diet like every day. So I have liver with my eggs in the morning. I wouldn't mind having liver with that because it's good for you. Liver is really good for you. Mm. Now, the things that went on with Liver King and all that, I don't know. I just know I like we used to eat liver when we were kids.
Yeah, me too.
Because we were poor, so we had liver. It smelled like something else, but it tastes different. It's like, it's not a pork chop. But yeah, liver is good. I like that.
Yeah, I just started doing it. It's difficult to get hold of. It's not in everywhere, is it?
Nah, it's not.
And like I say, years ago, we used to have it, and we used to have it with onions and stuff. And
yeah.
I've started doing it, but it does. I need to find a way where it doesn't stink the whole house out, because it does smell quite bad.
It does.
And you can get some sort of like gristly bits in it, but I do like it, and I'm sort of been testing to see how I feel on it, but it seems to be quite popular at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
What about fasting? Do you do any intermittent? Do you believe intermittent or any kind of fasting?
I had my phase. I've done intermittent fasting as well. Now I do intermittent fasting when I eat shit. I don't eat for like 16 hours, and then I take it in. But intermittent fasting can be good, but you should go off and on from it. You shouldn't always do it.
Really?
Because you want to make sure that you keep your metabolism guessing. Because intermittent fasting, sometimes it can slow your metabolism down because you're doing it so much. And then there's times when you want to spike it back up, boom. Then you go back to eating every 3.5 hours or 2 hours, whatever you want to do throughout the day. But I kind of go back and forth.
How long would you intermittent fast for? Like a week, 2 weeks, or
I could do it. So I do 7 days. I do 7 to 10 days straight, and then I go to 3 days on, 1 day off.
Okay. And what about like 24 longer fasts?
I've done 24 before. I've never did 48. I couldn't do 48 because I work out too much. Yeah. I passed the hell out.
Do you feel that there's what would be the reason for you to personally do like a 24?
Reset your body.
Right.
Hard reset. Just like shutting off. Just like you're trying to when a fuse box goes off, just to reset everything. Get everything back normal, get everything back to its base, leveled out. Sometimes you need to shut everything down, let the body just catch up and feel, and then turn it back on. So I've done that before.
And green drinks, do you do anything like that, like athletic greens or any of those type of products?
I've taken athletic greens, which is amazing at that too. Athletic greens, holler at me.
I like it. I'm a fan, actually.
Yeah, it is good. It is.
It just seems to kind of, just from my gut.
It's refreshing. It's refreshing. That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. What about probiotics?
Same thing. Gut health is important. You know, you want to make sure that you're keeping that cleanse, you're filtering those things out. So your probiotics, digestive enzymes, having greens, those things are very helpful. They're very important. Fiber, all of that is very important.
How do you know because there's so many ones on the market, some are good, some are not good. How do you recommend people sort of find a good one to
Talk to
use?
your doctor.
Go and see your doctor?
Yeah, because I don't know.
No.
I don't know all the time. I go Google to see what's the best, and I ask a physician or ask somebody that actually is really good at knowing supplements, and then I talk to them. Then also, sometimes I just go see how I feel. Because sometimes the basic stuff, like if you take ibuprofen, Advil and the basic ibuprofen, it's like, I'm gonna take the basic ibuprofen because Advil added some other stuff in it. I just want the main stuff. It's different.
With the, some of these supplements now, there's a lot of these testosterone boosters that have come onto the market. What do you think about those?
I mean, to each his own. To each his own. I mean, I never took a testosterone booster before. No, I never did that. I took we take creatine and we take a lot of pre-workout and stuff to get you pumped up, but I never took that. A lot of stuff I was scared of. I just didn't want to mess my liver up or my kidney or nothing like that. So I don't know a whole lot about that type of stuff.
What do you think for someone who's probably older and their testosterone is really low? So if you were training a client, 50s, 60s, and they're, for whatever reason, their testosterone's dropped, like how would you advise someone whether to take any kind of testosterone supplementation for them? Have you ever been asked on that? And how do you advise clients if they're curious about that?
Get your blood work done. Go see a physician. If the physician tells you your blood is low, you may have to do TRT or something like that, then I suggest you do it. A man's testosterone doesn't get higher as he gets older, it goes down. And when you know it's going down, it's because your body's missing a certain level of testosterone that it actually needs. So go to the doctor, get your blood work done, see where you're at, because you don't know what's going on the inside. Let them see and then take the direction from the doctor then.
All right. Mm-hmm. What about sleep? You talk about the importance of sleep and recovery. Are there any sleep aids that you take, ZMA or anything like that that you?
I take zinc, magnesium. Not zinc, ZMA, magnesium. I take melatonin, cherry root.
With that melatonin, how much do you take and how often do you take that then?
I don't take it. Maybe like 5 milligrams. I don't do it all the time because I don't want to wake up groggy, but if I'm really trying to go to sleep, I take the gummies too because that's my little sweet treat too. So I do melatonin gummies, but it's like 5 grams, that's it. It's not all the time. Mm-hmm. But I'll take magnesium. Magnesium will knock you out. I didn't realize how hard magnesium knocks you out until I was like, why am I so tired one time? And I was out. Magnesium is great for recovery.
Right. And do you do any other kind of things before sleep to ensure that you get recovery? Like, do you do any ice or anything like that?
No, I'm still working on that. I won't lie on this camera and say that I sleep well. Hell no. My brain be doing the most. But then when I finally go to sleep, I'll be out. But I'm working on sleep. I'm trying to get better at preparing for sleep and getting better at sleep. Because I know that's another level to make you look even amazing. If you can recover your body, I feel like when you're sleeping, there's these little men working on your body and repairing yourself. And if you're not sleeping well, then they can't repair, so they're shaking and they can't get you done. I have such a crazy imagination. But it's like I need to go to sleep to build a better body. If I can't sleep well, then nothing is going on.
Do you wake up in the middle of the night, and stay awake with some of your thoughts about stuff? You don't? I do.
I've had anxiety before, where I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, I can't sleep because I can't get this off my mind. But then, yeah, it's never happened a lot. I pray. I'm faith-based, so I pray. I say, Lord, take this from me. You can have this. Give it back to me in the morning. I'm trying to go to sleep.
I need to try that. So what do you got coming up then? What are some of the things that you're working on next? So I've seen you're wearing your new
Achieve, yes.
clothing line. So tell us about Achieve.
My Achieve clothing line is something that's very important, I'm passionate about. It means ambition, courage, heart, and vision. Something that I live by. You need all of those tools to achieve. I have my Achieve Fitness app that just launched. They can check out my Instagram, Mr. Calliet. The link is in there. Achieve Fitness app. I'm able to do private coaching with people because you can't get me in person. You can do my private coaching where I create a personal nutrition meal plan. We do check-ins. It's a community I built. I also have Creed 3 that's coming out. I just had a movie launched in January 6th in Miami that's in theaters. Another movie coming out, Water Boys. I'm not sure when that's coming out.
So you're in that one, are you?
Yeah, I mean,
right.
so yeah, I've transitioned in front of the camera. So when I talk about movies now, the days of me talking about training on the film for somebody, those days are on pause right now. But if they call me with the right price, I'll be there.
So who's going to train you when you go on the movies then?
The guy, look him right there in the mirror, that's going to train me. Now, I actually have a trainer myself that I bring with me to keep me on my toes. And also my personal assistant, my sister, the person who holds me accountable, she's a trainer too. She'll come with me and she know how to get me up and get me going. She don't mess around at all. Right now I'm just, the goal for me this year was to train as many people as I can all over the world. That's why I created that community and that app, because I want to be available and be able to be reachable to the masses. Because I do want to change. That's part of my life, to change the world. That's a superhero changes the world. So that's what I want to do. And that's my superpower, changing people's lives and bodies. So that's what I'm doing.
So my final question then, escaping your limits is about escaping what you've believed is impossible and gone on to make it possible. What would be a memorable example of escaping your own personal limits?
When I transformed my body and became who I was. My story was to be from the street and not make it to where I was at today. That's what this story was supposed to be. But I proved myself and everybody else wrong. I have tattooed on my arm, impossible is nothing. It's the word that Muhammad Ali used when he was standing over, I forgot the boxer that he beat, and he said impossible is nothing. And I made sure I tattooed that on me. And I was able to escape the limit of what people thought I was supposed to be and became who I wanted to be. And that's what that definitely means to me. I am whatever I say I am, and I will be that.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the cinema. Let me know when it is, and I'll I'll check out the body.
Appreciate
you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've got any value from it whatsoever, then please do us a favor, like, subscribe, tell somebody, and that will help us to be able to continue to do more of these and help you escape your own personal limits. Thanks for listening.